Hey guys, this is Laura Craigie for twopiecinthebucket.com. Today we're going to be doing another Seeing Double video, and we're going to do a layout and a card today. Here's a little preview of the layout and card I've made. I'm doing a voiceover today just because it's really busy and loud in my house, and I thought I'd give it a try. These are the supplies I picked out. There's a lot of products from the Fancy Pants Trendsetter line, as well as some American Craft stickers, some Maya Road chipboard tags, embossing powders. I have stamps from Hero Arts as well as Prima. I'm going to go ahead and put away some of my supplies here and all the little bits that I've picked out. I'm going to put in a little Tupperware here. All those die cuts are from the Maggie Holmes line for crepe paper. And I'm just going to pull out some chipboard tags. I think I'm going to use 2 of them. Only end up using 1, but I just like to have them at the ready just right there. And I have some Doodlebug glitters there that I don't end up using either, but I just pulled out a bunch of things in the color palette of like navy blue and a mint chip color. So for my layout, I'm going to start with a sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock from American Crafts, and then this kind of aqua grid paper, and this is from Echo Park. And I'm just going to mark off the lines where I want it. I want to be able to see a little bit of a white border around the top and the right side, and then on the left there's going to be a rather large white border. And I'm just going to go ahead and trim that down. I really should have made this, cut out that bit. It was a little boring there for you guys. Sorry. So, okay, so I'm adhering that to the page with my ATG gun. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull out, I believe, my photo next. And I know I'm only going to do one 4x6 photo for this layout. And then at this point, I think I'm going to do journaling on the little Hero Art stamp there. It's a little note, like a little ledger kind of note paper stamp. It's super cute, and it would work well for the 3x4 pockets for Project Life too, which is why I bought it. And I decided that I'm gonna take all the kind of papers that I had selected and trim them all down to 9 inches, and I'm just gonna do them in random widths, but all will have the 9-inch length. And I'm gonna put those above and below my photograph. And this paper is super cute. It's from the new Dear Lizzie, and it has all this, the phrase on it that says, "I love you to the moon," I think that's what it says. Anyhow, just really cute. And I'm going to go ahead and pull out all the rest of my papers. Actually, sorry, before I do that, I decided I wanted to see what the exact size of the stamped image for my product. So I'm just going to heat emboss it with some teal embossing powder from American Crafts. And I will have to double check that color for you guys later. I'll have it linked up in my video project at 2Ps, but I think it was called Aqua. And I pointed out there I made a little, yeah, I don't even know what to say. I made a little goof, but I'm not too worried. I don't need things to be ever to be perfect when I'm doing them. So I'm just going to finish heat embossing that, and then I will cut it out, and that'll give me a better idea when I'm building my layout for how it's going to go. And I like to heat emboss the back there, as you just saw it. It helps cut down on the warping of the paper. So again, I'm just cutting it out so I get a better idea for my page. I don't actually end up using, I had originally thought I was going to use this for my journaling, and then it just doesn't really work, but I do end up using it on the card that I make for my layout. But now I'm going to get back to putting the 9-inch strips on the paper here, or on the page. And my ATG, so that blue one there ran out of adhesive. I wanted to just add little tiny bits so I could move them later if I wanted to change my mind. And I ran out of adhesive, so I went back to my ATG, which is actually kind of funny because that runs out of adhesive later on in the video, and I have to reach for a third one. Yeah, so this is another sheet of paper from the Fancy Pants Trendsetter line. It's a really cute line. It has lots of the kind of navy and mint color that I was going for. Especially love this little star paper. So again, I'm just cutting them all down to 9 inches. Now I'm using the corrugated paper, which is something I really love for adding a bit of texture to my layout, and I'm making sure, I'm using 2 strips I think on the page, and I'm making sure that they go in the opposite direction, so one's vertical and one's horizontal. It just adds a little bit of visual interest when you do it that way. And it doesn't cut through fully with my trimmer, so I have to go behind with scissors and cut it later. And this little navy strip I will be using on my card. And again, you have to cut it out afterwards, but it gives you a good visual guide just by using the trimmer, so that's why I still do it. This is American Crafts POW glitter paper. I'm a huge fan of it because it doesn't flake off. So you can punch it and sew through it, and you don't have to worry about little glitter pile ending up in your lap when you're done. It's just really great product. I end up using a strip of it here, as well as on my card, and then I punch out a strip later on in the page. So I like the way it's looking right now. I love the navy stripe one up top there. It just, with the navy word paper below the picture grounds the photo, and then the one above just really draws your eye into it. So that was my decision for putting those there. And I feel like that little Hero Arts thing is just floating there, and I need something to ground it. So I'm still trying to decide what to put there. I was testing out a different pattern paper, and that just wasn't going to work. So I decided to go ahead and adhere everything that I know where it's going to go down. And then I pull out this little kind of postcard die cut. It's from the brag pad from the park bench line for Fancy Pants. And I just wanted to, so see there, my ATG gun ran out of adhesive. So now I'm really, really in for it. But so I adhere that on there, and then that just feels like that journaling block can be a bit grounded better. And now I'm pulling out my border punch from American Crafts, going for the scallop there, and I just did that very quickly off camera. And I just trim it down. It's not the full length. Again, I think it was cut into the 9 inches, so originally I thought it would have looked better with a 12-inch strip, but I'm quite happy with the 9-inch strip in the end. It doesn't need to do the full length there. And I am going to sew that down. You can see I pause the camera and adhere that down with machine stitching. And I actually left the stitching pieces between when sorry, it's hard to see there, but there's a couple pieces that I left in there. I didn't snip it off between stitching rows. Sorry, I don't know how to explain that. All right, so for another additional texture to my page, I'm going to use heat embossing on this chipboard tag from Maya Road. So I'm just squishing it into my Versamark pad, and then I'm going to add a little glue dot there and adhere that to tweezers, just because I'm going to heat emboss the entire tag and I don't want to get my fingers burnt while I'm doing that. So that just allows me to hold it without burning my fingers. And I'm pouring the tag with the embossing powder, and as you'll see here, actually what I do is I then heat up the entire tag, and then while it's still really hot, you want to pour on a second layer of embossing powder. So you'll see here, I'm just going to quickly heat that up. And because it's not paper, you don't have to worry about being back a distance. You don't have to worry about it warping, so I'm quite close to the project, to the chipboard tag, which I wouldn't normally do if I was doing paper, but that's totally okay in this instance. So I just want to keep going all around it till it's hot, and then I'll go back quickly over it again to make sure everything's hot. And then you quickly pour more embossing powder on. And I'm going to do this for, I think I end up doing it about 5 or 6 times. One thing I did learn is that the air coming out of the heat gun blew powder all over my desk. So next time I would do this process in a box or something. That would have been a lot smarter of me. You can see it's just all over my work mat there, and it went all over my desk. It flew everywhere. So next time I definitely recommend a box if you're doing this technique. But you can see the embossing powder starting to like pool, and that's how you know you have enough layers. I think I said I did about 5 or 6 layers. And then you want to squish it into any kind of stamp pad to get the texture that you want. This one I pulled out that same little ledger one, and it had already been inked with the Versamark, so it released from the stamp very easily. And there you go, you can see the texture that I got. So it's a really fun way to add texture to your page. It's a fun technique I learned years ago, and like I say, it was about 5 or 6 layers of embossing powder, and you don't need to use the Versamark in between. You just keep pouring it on while it's still hot. So I'm going to work on my title for the page here, and I want to find something to ground it, and I chose this die cut tag. Again, I said they're from the Maggie Holmes line for crepe paper, and I'm going to choose these American Crafts stickers. These are one of my absolute favorite product releases, these ones, and just the little scribbles that are over top of them. I just think it's so clever and cute. And I didn't want to use up all my vowels, so I used buttons there, and then I tied them with a bit of hemp cord, and that just adds an additional texture to the page. Instead of just looping it underneath, there's the cute little bows. So the title for this page is Good Night, and I did the night I chose to do in these second thickers again, which I really love the 2 different colors for them. And I'm going to try and fit that on there, and I have to shift it around a little bit, but eventually I get it to work. And there we go. So now I'm just going to kind of lay things down and figure out exactly where I want things to be before I go and adhere them. I like seeing the little pop of blue beside the die cut there. And then I have this, there we go, I'm trying to figure out where to put that tag that we just heat embossed. And then I have a flare in my hand from the Fancy Pants Trendsetter line that I really love and I know I want to include on the page somewhere as just another dimension and something fun for the page. And here are these little stars from Studio Calico. I really love them. They're just a cute little embellishment and you get a ton of them in the package. So I'm just sprinkling them on the page. I end up adding a few, but not exactly where I have them here. And this is a little die cut again from the Maggie Holmes line, and I only want to see half of it, so instead of tucking it under and just losing half, I've cut it in half. That way I can use the other half on a different project, or I actually end up using it on this page. But I really like to do that. Instead of just tucking things behind, I'll cut them in half and save the other half for later. The tag is feeling a bit one-dimensional, so I pulled out this Color Shine Mist from Heidi Swap, and I think it's the mint chip color, and I'm just going to dab a bunch on and trying to get it to go into the grooves there and then wipe it off on the excess on the upper part so that some of the darker color just seeps in, and it just adds a bit of just lets you view the dimension of the tag a bit better, because it was such a just a fun accent piece for the page. I really wanted it to pop a little more. So there you go. You see the close-up of it. The mist sat nicely in there and it'll dry really well. Okay, so I've pulled out again from the Fancy Pants Trendsetter line. These are the little metal clips. I just wanted to add something of interest to that upper right corner, and so I'm going to poke it, or put it there on the photo, and I have to bend it a little to squish it on, and then I bend it back afterwards because there's a pop dot underneath the little enamel there. So I really like the way that looks up there, and just have to bend it back into place. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere the little half of the tab because I'm fairly certain it's going to go up there. And this is the point where I realize I think that I've run out of adhesive. So I reached for my third option, which is the little red tape here, just to adhere that on there. It was kind of funny at the time that I just kept running out of everything. And that goes up there. And I'm fairly certain about the title going there. So I think I'm going to go ahead and adhere it with first the buttons with glue dots. I love doing buttons that way. Instead of just sewing them through the paper, it's just so much quicker. And now I'm going to go ahead and add the red sticky tape to the back of my journaling block here. Which is a lot more cumbersome than the glue runner, so eventually I do find a refill for my American Crafts runner and continue on with that. But I really like the placement there. And now I decided to pull out the little phrase runners. This one is, I think, the Dear Lizzie one, and I'm trying to find a sentiment, or not a sentiment, but a little phrase that I like, and I'm going to do it up there. And so I reach for, my Hero Arts inks, and this is the navy. And there we have it. I believe it says remember this. I just thought that was really cute because I do want to remember this moment of my little guys in the bed. It's my oldest son reading to my little guy. And it wasn't anything I asked him to do. I just walked into the bedroom one day and he was doing it and I snuck a photograph. It was just the cutest thing. So at this point I think I'm going to have the tag down there. I don't. I end up moving it. There we go. I decided I wasn't liking the way that was working. And there's the other half of that tag that I cut in half, and I decided to use it up there. And to fill in that space where I thought I was going to do my journaling, I have more of the Maggie Holmes die cuts, all these little tags. I just thought I wasn't really liking the way the stamp was looking on there, so I decided to fill this area of the page up with some die cuts. And then I thought it would be a great way to ground this textured tag that we did. I really want it to be a good focal point because it was a lot of time and energy. Actually, not that much time, but you know what I mean. I really liked the way it looked. And I thought that was a good place to ground the flare piece that I'm going to reach for now. And then we'll adhere that with a glue dot. And so that makes the title, basically it says Good Night End, and I finish off that in my journaling. So the first part of my journaling ends up saying Sleep Tight. So I thought I really liked that because it makes your eye, makes you want to know what the end goes with. So you go straight to the journaling and then you find out. And again, adhere that with glue dots. Now I'm going to add the little veneer stars, and as you can see, I've refilled my this to that runner, and I use that a lot for adding little wood veneers. I just kind of, if they're small enough, I just scrape them across the glue that's on the runner there, and add them to the page like that. At this point, I often pull my page up like that so I can get a look at it from a different angle to decide what I think it needs next. And I thought I wanted to add another little texture or dimension to it, and these are the Amy Tangerine puffy stickers. They're really cute. They just kind of remind me of a flashback of like childhood when I used to collect stickers. And I use the little hearts there, and then these little arrowheads in 3 different blue tones that I put above the title there. I just thought they worked really well there. And they were just the perfect colors for my page. And then there's this little asterisk that I add up there to the photo as well. And now I feel like I have the clusters for the title there, and then the clusters where I had that remember this and the little asterisks I just added, and I felt like I needed something down the bottom right. So I decided to pull out this washi. This is from Glitz, and you can see I'm just haphazardly making little folds. I'm not measuring where they are, but I just want to create a little ruffled border. And I didn't measure how long it was. I just kind of eyeballed it, so I thought it was going to look right. And then I'm fixing it there, adding another one. And you just rip it off. That's the great thing about washi tape. You don't have to cut it. You just give it a rip and then fix the ruffles, and then I'm just going to put that down at the bottom, and then I very carefully sew along the top of it, which does flatten the page. Then you just pull it up a little bit and you get the same dimensional look. I just thought that was a really cute thing. So now I'm pretty much finished with my page, so I'm moving on to the card, and I just add adhesive to the background, and then all these strips are left over of the papers from my original layout, so I just lay them down and go. It's that simple. That's the great thing about doing your second project right after you've done the first, is you have all your supplies ready to go. And I have my little Tupperware bin there of all the things that I didn't use for my layout ready to go, and I'm just adhering them down, trying to figure out which color is going to look nicest by the other colors. And then take your scissors and you just trim off the excess. It's a lot quicker than having to measure each strip to do it that way. So this is where I pull out those die cuts. I decide I like the camera and then go back to that stamped image. I didn't want to waste it after I spent the time heat embossing it, so I wanted to use it on this project. And I really do like the way that looks, just those 2 pieces there. I try and add that little navy blue label, but it just doesn't work on the card. So I like the way these look, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere the stamped piece in a moment here. There we go, a little bit of adhesive. And for the camera, I want a bit of, again, some added dimension to the card, so I use foam adhesive. Today was really just all about working with the color scheme that I'd picked out and then adding just fun textures and dimension to my projects. And just peeling off the pop dots and adding it to the card. I have a couple of those veneer stars left, and so I put them up there thinking that I'll use them there. And then I wanted to fill in the center of the camera with something. When I have camera embellishments, I like to add something to the middle of them. So I pull out these 2 buttons, and I just decided they just don't look right in there. So then I grabbed 2 smaller ones, and I thought maybe I could still add buttons to the card and put 2 on the side like that. I just thought it looked really cute, and they look like additional buttons on the camera. So I'm using some more hemp cord, which is my favorite thing for threading buttons. It's nice and stiff, so I don't have to worry about using a needle like you sometimes do with twine or things. And I'm just going to shift them so they're close together and adhere those with my ever favorite glue dots. and then I will just trim off the excess hemp cord later. And because I didn't mention it with the card, I actually trimmed off 1/2 inch of the standard size card so that it allows for the overhang that I've done here, and it'll still fit in a standard envelope. I do that a lot. I make skinnier cards just so that I can have the overhang and it'll still fit in the envelope that I need it to fit in. So I decided for my sentiment I would do say cheese, and just to go with the camera. And that allowed me to use the 2 different font thickers that I'd picked out. And it's just a matter of figuring out my placement here. Because this might go in the mail and I'm not a little more worried about the things falling off, I do run both the say and the cheese through my sewing machine. And I go back to the middle of the camera here and add a little asterisk puffy sticker because I really felt that the center of the camera just needed something to feel complete. So I'm done my projects now, except for the journaling on the layout, which I will add some computer journaling on that corrugated strip right there. And I'm really happy with the way they turned out. I like the little ruffled dimensions down there, and then the dimension of the title with the little puffy stickers, and I like how I have the 3 kind of points that draw your eye around the photo and the journaling, so it just kind of draws your eye into that. And I'm really happy with the way they turned out. I like the colors that I chose, and I had such a fun time creating this, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it, and I hope the voiceover isn't too different from my normal videos and that it was tolerable. I do apologize, it was just so busy in our house that when I recorded it, there was just too many noises. So that is my finished page and my card. You can see I'm just pointing out there's those little threads that I left over and the additional textures from the corrugated papers. I really do love those. They're only $1.99 in the store, which is a little more than your average sheet of paper, but you get a lot of bang for your buck because you tend not to use the whole sheet on your page, and I'll use it over and over again. So here are some detail shots from my work. And I just want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and hopefully I will catch you next time on the Seeing Double. So feel free to leave me comments on YouTube or 2Ps and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching. Bye.